All right, what's up, guys? If you are in the gaming community at all, I'm sure you will have heard about this game called Crimson Desert. And as the weeks have gone by leading up to its release in March, it has continued to look like literally the best game of all time, with like literally everything in it and like nothing wrong. Like everybody's saying, where's the catch? Like, what's the catch to this game? There's got to be something that makes it, not perfect. But as of right now, so far, there's like literally no catch to this game. Like, they just revealed that they won't have any microtransactions. It just keeps getting better as the weeks go on. So I'm going to watch this video and just get really well informed about this game. I might make a decision on whether I want to buy it or not after I watch this. So here we go. And shout out to Legacy Killer HD who made this video.
So last year there was a very interesting game that you might have heard of that released, and it got a lot of attention at the award shows, winning tons and tons of Game of the Year honors, and that was Expedition 33. What's remarkable about that game was that it was one from a small
Still know nothing about this game.
and it kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. But its game design is very interesting because it wasn't anything too crazy or out of the norm. It just iterated on a lot of elements that we've seen like with JRPGs over the years. And obviously gave a French spin with fantastic storytelling and characters. And I feel like we're about to get another one of those games this year with Crimson Desert. It's an open world RPG coming from a South Korean developer, Pearl Abyss, that is known, I believe, for Black Desert Online MMO. And that's actually how Crimson Desert started originally. It was originally envisioned as another MMO experience, but it turned into a single-player adventure that's been in development for almost a decade now. We've actually talked about this game a couple of times on the channel over the years because it is one of those inspiring upcoming games that hasn't gotten the attention that it deserves. Every single time it has been shown off, it is impressed for a variety of reasons. Like right now, like we're talking about game elements and aspects. You can ride a bear in this open world RPG, which is full of different biomes and places to explore. You can glide and fly through the air like Spider-Man. There's seemingly sky bosses you can land on.
Wait, that's crazy.
Some sort of mech robot in this medieval-like adventure. There's an expansive camp system. Decorate to your heart's desire. Become a rancher and/or farmer. There's multiple protagonists with each having unique abilities. There's arm wrestling, a rock, paper, scissors mini game, and with the combat, there's a level of verticality that you just haven't seen in games like this, like these open world experiences. There's certain unique abilities that can only be learned by observing these people doing them in action. We specifically see like a wrestling move being conducted by an enemy, and then later we can do that same one ourselves. There's just so much activity going on in towns, in cities. There's also certain special places that you can come upon, like a circus appears to be one of them, and there's Zelda-like puzzles. It's just staggering how much
there's so much life to the world. It looks
while
like
it doesn't have the narrative prowess of maybe like Expedition 33, it does have something different on the flip side, because it has a gameplay experience that just feels like it's too good to be true.
Yeah,
and that has been the conversation of the last couple of weeks is, what's the hitch? Like, what's actually going on here? There has to be something up. This can't be true. But every impression, every preview we've had so far of this game has been spectacular. And it feels like one of those under-the-radar Game of the Year contenders.
Look at the map.
Could knock off a game like Grand Theft Auto 6 later this year.
I don't know about that. The map is apparently bigger than Red Dead Redemption 2's map. Which would be, if that's true, that's crazy. I think it is.
But again, there's still a lot of people in the back of their mind saying, is this too good to be true? Because when you look at this entire package, the gameplay experience, the narrative, which is supposed to be
like if I jump in here, bro, is the gameplay going to be like jarring to play? Like there's got to be something.
80 hours with a main story content. It's just grabbing a lot of elements that we've seen in other open world adventures. Like the narrative, say what you will, it sounds like it was taken straight from, or at least inspired from Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3. So these developers clearly looked at a lot of things that worked with some of the most popular games of all time and said, you know what, let's put this into a complete package and let's use our own game engine, which if it holds up and it actually
it's not on Unreal Engine
in the gameplay showcases and such, this might be one of the most impressive games in years, especially at a time in which we've had so many disastrous releases with so many performance issues. But that is one big question mark, because when you look at the gameplay, when you look at the visual fidelity, you see all the things that are in motion, everything that is happening, there is a clear question of, is there going to be issues here? Is this too good to be true in that regard? And that is one of those things that's going to remain until players finally have access to this game.
Also, I'm all for the medieval stuff. I'm a sucker for the medieval team.
But the reason why I bring up the comparison
anything with that I like
33 is because the package was familiar, but it overperformed because of the narrative prowess. And I think with Crimson Desert on the flip side, it's really the gameplay here. It shows so many different paths to really enjoy
everything I'm looking at here looks insane.
It's not just like you can engage in combat with tons of different moves and
also the customization is really cool.
Clear within the gameplay. I mean, you're going to be able to use a mech robot in a medieval setting. It's really like they said, is this fun? Yes, we're going to do it anyway. Now, if it doesn't make sense in terms of narrative storytelling and such, only time will tell. But there's just so much going on here that I'm impressed. It has made a damn point. But at the same time, that skepticism that so many people have felt with the AAA games industry has set in, and that's not going away until finally those reviews launch. And even then, I'm sure some people are still going to be like, I'm going to be cautious about this. And that was a feeling that a lot of people had with Expedition 33, and that's bled over the last number of months, which there's been endless conversations, overrated, underrated and such, and I'm sure that could happen here with Crimson Desert again. But another comparison I just made a second ago was to Red Dead Redemption 2. And
look at that, bro.
I didn't bring that up for just that specific reason, because the developers
high up you
are very much wearing that comparison as a badge of honor. That is clearly the inspiration here.
I want to know if I can just go around and kill these people. Don't take that like badly. For the sake of the game, like I want to know. I want to know if I can go around one of these cities or whatever, and just put a sword through some civilian. Like, is it that immersive?
It's
like, can you do that?
Just those games. It's
I wonder what would happen.
I mean, you can look at
that's the one thing I don't know.
It looks like it was straight taken out of like Assassin's Creed Origins, but the game's narrative, especially, it definitely sounds just like these games in certain regards. Now, as summarized by Twitter user Okami13_, the game has two overarching stories. The first one involves the Greymanes and Black Bears, sworn enemies. There's a massive conflict there, which is going to be at the heart of Crimson Desert. But there's also a second storyline involving an unprecedented threat that threatens all of Pywel. The story starts with the game starts with a massive battle where Cliff's faction, the Greymanes, is ambushed by the Black Bears. The Greymanes are defeated, and the surviving members are scattered throughout Pywel.
Okay.
And Cliff, which is our main protagonist, or the first one we're introduced, sets out to seek revenge on the Black Bears and reunite his clan, in which we end up having this massive campsite where we can organize and bring all these people together, send them out on missions, and seemingly enjoy life together, which, sounds very Red Dead Redemption 2-esque. But also along the journey, you're going to be learning about the Abyss, a strange realm made up of sky islands. The Abyss is imbalanced, however, and threatens to ruin all of Pywel. And Pywel, if you're not familiar, it's pretty much just this giant landscape, this entire region that we're going to be exploring, this fictional location.
The map.
Now, fragments of the Abyss are falling from the sky, granting power to anyone who wields them. Cliff must gather these radiant fragments to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Cliff also gains special powers like the crow wings and the axiom bracelets from the Abyss. And I guess just one of my initial suspicions is that this mysterious thing maybe it introduces a secret new enemy faction which we end up facing late game. It kind of reminds me a little bit like the build up in the Witcher series to the Wild Hunt. Obviously,
see, I never played The Witcher.
I'm making maybe one that's not accurate to this, but it is quite clear that the development team team is hiding certain things about the narrative and story and where things are headed. And yes, this is just my little theory, I guess. A game theory. Now, from there, Cliff becomes involved in many conflicts across Pywel. Each region has its own regional conflicts and some overarching ones involving many regions, and you'll come across many factions, each with their own backstory. Some are friendly and some are hostile. And as the story progresses, 2 other playable companions join the party to help rebuild the Greymanes. Each has their own unique playstyle. Again, we can take that on and enjoy to our heart's desire. And some powerful bosses are involved with conflicts in many regions, and after reuniting the Greymanes and meeting the different factions, you must all work together to stop the threat posed by the Abyss. It's unclear whether the game will have multiple endings. Some earlier reports that the ending was set in stone, but more recently they've hinted that your choices may indeed affect the ending.
That would be sick.
The big thing about Crimson Desert is that the game has changed a lot over the years. This is something that developers have put an emphasis on. They've said that when this game was initially shown with its debut trailer, I think it was around 2019 or so, they said that that's just not relevant to what this game is now, and that makes sense. It's been in development for 7 years. They've clearly iterated in many regards on the design, and right now it looks like it is a bona fide Game of the Year contender here in 2026.
We'll see.
And it definitely feels like it is a game
looks
that could
like
make a massive impression on this entire games industry, especially with everything that it's right now advertising. And if it lands, oh my god, this is going to be the game we're talking about throughout this year. But even right now, the Crimson Desert team continues to release new gameplay videos. This is one of the latest ones.
Holy shit, man.
The draw distance is extremely impressive. The amount going on, I just love how the trees are moving around. This scenery just looks like it's straight out of Red Dead Redemption 2. I love the liveliness to these towns. You even
like, can I start swinging at those things?
Gameplay. The's just so much.
Look at that. Oh my god.
Here that makes me appreciative and also excited for what's to come. Now,
like, can I pull up in here and start swinging?
Mention though, the team they're in the optimization phase, and that right now they are focused on that as the game has gone gold. And they even mentioned off-the-shelf engines weren't able to deliver the uncompromised vision that the team set forth to create. Cough, 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 Unreal Engine. But look, I've talked about this extensively throughout this video, said so many times, is it too good to be true? This is actually something that the development team has addressed. They were asked this in a recent interview by Luke Stevens. You may know his YouTube channel, and this is what the marketing director, I believe that's who this is, of Pearl Abyss, this is what he had to say for those concerned and maybe thinking that this is, well, too good to be true.
And to be fair, this is an internal battle that we have too. We see the comments on the internet about you guys are releasing too much information, too much footage, like leave something to be discovered at launch.
And that is fair. That is one thing. Like, people are like, there's so much going on here. I think people have a feeling that this is the entire package. But I mean, based on how they've described this game, I feel like there's still a lot that we don't know about.
There's internal camps on our side that, like, we debate those things as well. There is so much in the game that we still haven't talked about and shown.
Yeah.
What could it possibly be?
The breadth of the game, I really, really don't think...
I mean, just that scene alone, my god, it just looks stunning.
I think that anything that we're showing is a spoiler for fans. It won't dilute their experience.
Okay, there's kids over here, bro. There's no way you can start swinging there, right? Okay, so you probably can't go around and kill the townspeople because there's freaking children, right? There's no way. But, like, I wonder, because if it is inspired by, Red Dead and that stuff, like, in Red Dead, you can literally kill anybody in sight. So I wonder. That's, like, the one thing I don't know about the game.
Wonder that, like,
I've not seen it in any gameplay, so probably not.
Approach will change your experience with things. Then showcasing one experience doesn't spoil it for you.
Dude, the fact that they haven't revealed almost everything yet.
That's kind of an overarching thought that's guiding my answer to your question. Answer to your question specifically, because the game has changed over 6 years, some of the stuff that was put out there originally isn't even relevant anymore, which is tough because that came from official channels. If you look at the announced trailer in 2019, in November of 2019 at G-Star, in that, on stage, we had like from official Pearl Abyss, this is a MMO. It is a prequel to Black Desert Online. The official communication from the company. That video is still up on our YouTube channel.
I mean, that's the reflection of how game development works in this instant, and that unfortunately is what's going to happen, especially with a development team that clearly didn't know where this game was headed all those years ago.
Like, bro, Arc Raiders was completely different from when it got announced to now. Like, you can go watch those videos. They have it up on their channel of what it was meant to look like and stuff like that. There was like hover packs, vehicles, all that stuff.
And they get confused because it's still available. And that's communicating from the official source. None of those things are true anymore because development has shifted. I've talked about this a lot, about how in order for a game to come into its own, development shifted, and it had the ability to become its own thing.
Dude, look at this scene right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of us on the screen.
In its own way, not be overshadowed by the initial premise that it.
I'm reacting to a reaction.
So that's a difficulty, and I think that spurs the conversation of, is this game too good to be true? Because there's different narratives from different time periods. While some of the information from years ago is still accurate and is still relevant to this game, pay attention to the past year. Mm-hmm. Just if you're looking at marketing, if you're looking at videos, pay attention to Gamescom 2024.
Yeah, and then that's what I've shown throughout this video. The last one just came a couple of days ago, and the other gameplay, like the newer showcase, is just extremely impressive, and I think that's where the initial thoughts and expectations are being built off of. Not necessarily where this game was so many years ago, and I personally don't even remember it because it's been so long. I just remember the only takeaway I had was, wow, this kind of looks impressive for whenever it comes about. And look, there's been other things that this development team has addressed, like they wanted to make clear that this is not a Souls-like, Pearl Abyss says, but does that mean the game's easy? Hell no. And this was addressed in yet another podcast interview, this time with the Dropped Frames team, and this is specifically what Pearl Abyss had to say
for you. And that's something that I think is really interesting, because when people see the boss fights in this game, they immediately think Souls-like. This is not a Souls-like game, because Souls-like, again, has connotations and has specific definitions of narrow dodge windows, things like that. This is much more combo driven, and you kind of dictate the pace of the fight. So there's no get good moment. There are definitely skill checks, and like you have to have a certain amount of in order to beat this boss. Like you need to. This will be a little bit harder in a progression standpoint. But
okay, good. Like I can't go to up to a really hard boss and kill him like off rip. Like, I gotta be good to beat that guy. Okay, I like that. That's actually pretty good.
If you can't do that, and how your character is at that time, you can get additional buffs from food in camp. You can grind a bunch more consumables to make the fight easier for you.
So yeah, he definitely fights that narrative and wants to make clear that this is not a Souls-like, even though some people have had that takeaway from the gameplay. But if you watch some of these boss fights, I mean, lots of games that aren't Souls-like have these type of experiences, and he just puts an emphasis that, like, look, you can build your character through all kinds of different means, through exploring the open world and taking part in your camp activities and such. And look, another thing that's a big thing that's mentioned with these open world games is the possibility of microtransactions.
There are none, apparently.
Especially has become infamous with that. Their time saver nonsense. I've voiced my displeasure over the years with that and the problematic nature of how that can impact design of these games, and I truly do feel like, especially the grindy ones, that does impact it. But they did want to make clear this is a premium experience. That is the transaction, full stop. Very encouraging. Just yet another great thing I hear about this game.
That literally
the developers
just came out like yesterday.
Emphasis that the main campaign is actually just a very small percentage of total content. So this is going to be an enormous package. It sounds like one of those games that people could be playing for months on end. We'll see what happens. I've been honestly personally waiting for a very meaty RPG like this, so it comes at the perfect time. time. And yeah, the excitement is real right now. It has surpassed 2 million wish lists. Rep says it's in the middle.
I am one of them. I just want like new games to play, bro. I'm kind of limited right now, as you would probably be able to tell, to Arc Raiders, Rivals, Fortnite. Like, I want like one of these games, man. And finally, there's one. There's also that Fable game that's intriguing me as well. So
between The Witcher 3
gaming this year is actually really decent.
Ironically enough, inspired so much of the design of this experience. But every single day there is a new detail emerging surrounding Crimson Desert that just it's pleasantly surprises me. Like the realistic water simulation, I guess, is today's thing I saw, and there's just so much detail, so much depth to this experience that I would be surprised that in a couple weeks I'm going to be talking about this game in any sort of negative light. This does feel like the real deal, but at the same time, I can understand some people saying, well, I'm going to wait to see. And that's what
I'm not going to get it.
Have been, they understand.
I'm not getting it until after it's out.
The games industry has burned us so many times
10 minutes after it's out.
This is just one of these things that so many development teams have to fight. And you know how you fight that? By building a great experience. And right now, this is exactly what I mean. People like Glad saying, dude, I'm convinced that Crimson Desert is either going to be the effing greatest video game of all time or the biggest sloppy mess ever made. There will be no in between. And look, reviews and such should be coming out probably in the next couple of weeks, so it'll be very interesting to see those impressions at the very least, and then obviously release day. A lot of people will be waiting for those Steam reviews as well, but very compelling game right now. I think Crimson Desert really...
Dude, I actually can't wait to see how it is.
Everything about this game screams that it could be a Game of the Year contender and a must-play here in 2026, and I really do hope that's how it turns out. But so far, this game...
Let me know what you guys think about this game. Dude, it's ticking all the boxes for me, but as I said, I'm going to wait until it's out. I'm going to see what everyone thinks about it first, and then I'm going to get it. Probably like a couple days after. But as of right now, bro, it looks freaking crazy. It looks crazy. So we'll see.